Night had fallen when Minjun arrived at the Kong estate. Chairman Kong sat in the dimly lit garden pavilion, calmly holding a porcelain teacup. His sharp eyes met Minjun's as he approached. "You came," he said coldly. "I wasn't sure you had the guts after what you pulled." "You gave me no choice," Minjun replied, standing a few steps away. "You made it clear what I meant to you." Chairman Kong chuckled. "Let's not pretend. You were never a son, Minjun. You were an investment. And now a liability." Minjun's face remained unreadable. "Is that why you sent people to kill me? And Julia and Nathan?" Chairman Kang's smile faded. "It wasn't you they wanted. You made your choice. I only wanted to eliminate the distraction before it ruined everything." "They're not a distraction," Minjun shot back. "They're my family." Chairman Kong leaned back unimpressed. "Then you're more foolish than I thought." Suddenly, his phone vibrated. He answered the unknown number with a frown. "Sir, it's me," the voice said. "The safe house is empty. They're gone. Daniel, Lee, Julia, the child, everyone. They escaped through a tunnel. We arrived too late." Chairman Kang's grip tightened on the phone. "What?" "They vanished before we got there. I don't know how." The call ended abruptly. Chairman Kang's gaze shifted to Minjun, fury burning in his eyes. "You planned this," he said quietly, dangerously. Minjun didn't flinch. "I wasn't the only one. You really thought I'd let you destroy them while I stayed your obedient pawn." Chairman Kang's jaw tightened. "You'll regret this." "I stopped regretting the moment I chose them over your empire." Minjun turned to leave. Chairman Kong remained still, his figure like stone. But inside, a storm was rising. The coast was quiet, the moonlight spilling over the calm sea beyond the fences of the new safe house. It was heavily secured, but it still felt warmer than the last one. Julia sat in the living room, Nathan asleep beside her, his hand tightly gripping hers. Daniel Lee stood by the window, scanning for signs of pursuit, while Hyunwoo monitored the surveillance cameras. They had made it, but no one was celebrating yet. Jaiwoo emerged from the hallway. "He's asleep," she said softly. Julia nodded, her voice strained. "He kept asking for Minjun." "He'll be fine," Daniel reassured. "Minjun knows what he's doing." "But he's facing his father," Jaiwoo murmured. "Do you think he's safe?" Daniel's expression was unreadable. Minjun has always known how to survive in his father's world. Julia lowered her head. "I just want him back." Hyunwoo joined them. "We'll wait for Minjun to contact us. Until then, we lay low." Minjun sank into the armchair of his dimly lit penthouse, the city lights stretching beyond the glass walls. But his mind was elsewhere, on Julia, Nathan, and the storm they were in. He dialed Daniel Lee. "I won't be going to the safe house," Minjun said flatly. "My father's failure means he's increased the surveillance. If I show up, I'll lead them straight to Julia." Daniel wasn't surprised. "I figured. He's losing control. There's more. She can't see me until this is over. It's the only way to keep them safe." "I'll tell her," Daniel replied. As the call ended, Minjun's phone rang again, his brother Hyunwoo. "You made it home?" Hyunwoo asked. "Yeah. What's next?" "There's a board meeting at LK Group in 3 days. Get ready. It's time to surprise our parents." Minjun's eyes narrowed, resolve hardening. They're not ready for what's coming. Chairman Wang's patience snapped that night too. He slammed his fist onto the table, making everyone flinch. "This was your plan, Kong. How did it fail so miserably?" Chairman Kong stood motionless, unable to respond. "Didn't you say you had a mole in their safe house?" Wang continued, fury rising. "Why did my men find it empty?" Kong clenched his jaw. He knew exactly what had happened. His mole had informed him when he was talking with Minjun. The moment Minjun left, his hands were tied. Unable to defend himself, Kong stayed silent. The plan was compromised. They were exposed. Wang leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "How could you let this happen?" Ji-yoon, beside her father, scoffed. "This wouldn't have happened if I had been in charge. Minjun's not soft. If I handled it, they wouldn't have escaped." Kang's wife shot her a cold glance but said nothing. Kong finally spoke, his resolve hardening. "Enough. They're gone, but we still have leverage." Wang glared. "Leverage? Minjun doesn't care about the LK Group shares. He's in love with that woman and his son." Kang's eyes darkened. "That's where you're wrong. We'll use the LK Group against him. He may think he's in control, but he doesn't have enough power. We control the company." Minjun's mother spoke up. 3 days from now, there's a board meeting. We'll make Minjun step down as CEO if he wants to keep the woman and the child. After all, he's not the only son." Chairman Wang and Ji-yoon exchanged satisfied glances. The pieces were moving. This time, they would ensure Minjun had no way out. 3 days later, the LK Group boardroom buzzed with anticipation. Executives, shareholders, and board members filled the room, sensing something monumental was about to happen. At the head of the table, Chairman Kong sat composed, his wife beside him, lips tight. Across from them, Chairman Wang and Jiyun exuded confidence, the tension between the families palpable. Then the double doors opened. Minjun entered first, dressed in a tailored black suit, expression unreadable. Hyunwoo followed. A collective gasp swept through the room. Chairman Kong stood, eyes wide. "Hyunwoo, what the hell are you doing here?" Hyunwoo smirked, hands in his pockets. "What's your banished son doing here? I'm a shareholder now." "You what?" his mother hissed. Minjun sat calmly, as if the battle was already won. "Let's begin," Minjun said, resting his hands on the table. Today's agenda: restructuring the leadership, discussing security breaches, and, oh right, a new shareholder is joining us via video. Jiyun leaned forward, confused. "Who?" The screen flickered to life, revealing Daniel Lee, sunglasses on, a coffee mug in hand that read CO material. "Good morning, everyone," Daniel drawled. "Hope I didn't miss the drama." Chairman Wang's jaw tightened. "What are you doing here?" Daniel took a slow sip. "Didn't you hear? I bought in." Chairman Kong narrowed his eyes. "How much?" Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Enough to make you sweat." Minjun gestured for his secretary, who stood to read the updated shareholder report. As of this morning, the top shareholders are as follows. Mr. Minjun Kong, 28%. Mr. Daniel Lee, 26%. Mr. Hyunwoo Kong, 12%. Chairman Kong, 18%. Chairman Wang, 10%. Others, 6%. Silence filled the room. Jiyun slammed her pen down. "This is a joke." Daniel chuckled from the screen. "Well, sweetheart, if it is, we're laughing all the way to the bank." Chairman Wang stood, furious. "You tricked us." Minjun leaned back in his chair. "No one tricked you. You were too busy trying to destroy me, Julia, and my son to notice the chessboard shifting." Hyunwoo added, "And now it's checkmate." Chairman Kang's hand trembled. His power was slipping. His pawn had become the king. Minjun's gaze locked onto his father. "The game has changed, father. This time, I'm making the rules." The meeting was no longer in their control, and they all knew it. The boardroom defeat was the final straw. 5 days later, Chairman Kong sat in his study, the lights dimmed, a tumbler of aged whiskey in his hand. The phone on his desk buzzed once before he picked it up. "They've outgrown their leash," Chairman Wang's voice hissed through the speaker, low and sharp. Kang's jaw tightened. "Minjun and Hyunwoo must die," he said coldly. "These pawns, they dared to defy kings. They've made fools of us," Wang spat. "And now Julia and Nathan are ghosts. No shares. No leverage. We can't afford another scandal." Kong stood, pacing slowly as he spoke. "Hyunwoo should have been dealt with the moment he questioned me. And Minjun, to challenge his own blood for a woman like that." He paused, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper. "He's no longer one of us. I still have another son. He will be the heir." A heavy silence settled between them. Then Kong added, "Call the old team. Make it clean, ruthless, and make sure Jiyun knows." There was a pause. Then Wang's voice returned, cautious. "Why her? She still wants him. If she can't have him, then no one will. Not even Julia. She'd rather destroy him than see him love someone else." A soft knock tapped on Chairman Wang's office door. He turned his head. "Come in." Jiyun stepped in, elegant as ever, her face unreadable. "Was that Chairman Kong?" she asked, eyes flicking toward the still-lit call screen. Wang studied his daughter for a beat, then nodded. "They've chosen death. Both of them." Jiyun's lips twitched. Whether it was a smirk or a grimace, even her father couldn't tell. "I want to go," she said quietly. Wang's eyes narrowed. "This isn't some stage for you to win him back, Jiyun. It's an execution." She stepped closer, her voice sharp as glass. "If I can't have Minjun, then Julia won't either." Wang hesitated. Despite everything, she was still his daughter. But what he saw in her eyes now was not desperation. It was fire. Cold, calculated, vengeful fire. Finally, he gave a single nod. "Then make sure it's done right." Meanwhile, miles away, the storm was already brewing. Since the boardroom chaos, Daniel Lee had pulled every string: surveillance, phone intercepts, pattern tracking. Hyunwoo noticed the shift. Familiar names. Discrete bank transfers. Old enemies surfacing. It all pointed to one thing. War. Minjun stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse. He was dressed in black, still as a shadow, his face carved from ice. The city blinked far below, unaware of the storm building above. Hyunwoo stepped in quietly, his weapon already loaded. "They're coming," he said. Minjun didn't move. "Then we finish this." The hymen came like a wave. The silence shattered into chaos. Gunfire erupted, loud, brutal, echoing off marble and glass. Hyunwoo rolled behind the couch, returning fire even as a bullet grazed his side. Blood bloomed on his shirt, but he kept firing, sharp and precise. Minjun moved with deadly focus. Each shot he fired found its mark. But then, a figure emerged through the smoke and bullets, dressed like the others, gun raised and aimed at Minjun. Time slowed. Hyunwoo saw it first. "Minjun!" He lunged. The shot rang out. Hyunwoo cried out as the bullet hit his shoulder, but he stayed upright, gripping his gun. Minjun reacted instantly. He turned and fired. The figure fell hard to the floor, and then, "Ji-yoon!" One of the attackers screamed before another bullet silenced him. Minjun froze. His gun lowered slowly. Ji-yoon lay there, clutching her chest, blood soaking through her blouse. Her eyes widened with pain, and something deeper. Betrayal. Heartbreak. You were never supposed to be hers," she whispered, choking. "You were mine." Tears slipped from her eyes as her breath rattled. Her gaze never left Minjun. She died with hate still burning for Julia. Silence returned to the penthouse. Minjun stood over her, jaw clenched. Then, without a word, he turned and together, he and Hyunwoo finished the fight. One by one, the rest of the assassins fell. Cold. Precise. Final. When it was over, Hyunwoo leaned against the wall, breathing hard, blood dripping from his shoulder. Minjun pulled out his phone and called Daniel. "It's done," he said. "Tell the police to get ready. Everything ends tonight." Back at the Kong mansion, the study was dimly lit, thick with the scent of aged whiskey. Chairman Kong sat in his leather armchair, a crystal glass in hand, half filled with the finest scotch. A smug smile curled on his lips as he swirled the liquid slowly. "By now," he muttered to himself, "they should be gone. Finally, obedience will return." But the silence that followed was not triumphant. It was haunting. A soft click echoed behind him. He turned. His wife stood at the doorway, pale and composed, her eyes hollow with years of buried grief. In her hand, steady, unwavering, was a gun, aimed directly at him. Chairman Kang's brow furrowed, confused at first. "What are you doing?" Her voice was calm. "Cold. I've waited 30 years for this moment." Kang's grip tightened around the glass. "You killed my mother. My father. My baby brother, over a land deed." She took a step closer. "You thought the little girl you shot that day died. But I lived. I lived, Chairman Kong. I survived. And I became your wife." Shock painted his face as old memories began to claw their way back. "I served your empire," she continued, her voice trembling with quiet fury. "I gave you sons. I kept your secrets. I wore a smile while living beside my family's killer. I protected our sons from the monster you are. I acted every single day. But I'm tired now." "Wait. No." She pulled the trigger. The shot rang out sharp and final. Chairman Kong slumped onto the chair, eyes wide, the glass slipping from his hand and shattering to the ground. Blood seeped into the fibers of the carpet he once ruled from. She stood there, breathing heavily. Then she turned the gun toward herself. Footsteps pounded down the hallway. The door burst open. Kong Jae-hyuk stood there, panting, staring in horror at his father's body, and the gun in his mother's hand. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He stepped forward slowly, his voice breaking. "What else are you going to do now, Mom?" She looked at him, and her face softened. For the first time, she looked like a woman free of her chains. "I have a small company in China. It's yours now." She walked to him, cupping his face briefly with her free hand. "Leave for China tonight. Don't worry. Your brothers will be here with the police. They'll find out everything. Chairman Kang's evil deeds will be exposed." She smiled, eyes glistening. "Thank you for acting with me. I know how hard it was for you to help Ji-yoon, to be caught in all of this, but you did well. I'm proud of you." He swallowed hard, jaw trembling. She chuckled softly, voice barely a whisper. "And Jae-hyuk, find a woman you love. Marry her. Your brothers are already married. It's your turn now." A sad smile stretched across her lips. Then, with a breathless sigh, she raised the gun to her temple. A final shot. Silence fell. She crumpled beside Chairman Kong, eyes fluttering shut. In her final moments, she saw her baby brother, no longer a boy but the man he should have grown into, reaching for her through the light. Peace. Jae-hyuk stood there, unmoving. He let the silence wrap around him like a shroud, his gaze never leaving his mother's still form. And then, with slow, heavy steps, he turned and walked away, leaving behind the mansion, the bloodline, and the ashes of an empire built on betrayal. 10 minutes later, flashing lights washed over the grand pillars of the Kong estate. Police vehicles lined the driveway like sentinels, and officers streamed through the iron gates with urgent purpose. Minjun and Hyunwoo stepped out of the black SUV, both dressed in black, their expressions hardened and silent. Blood still stained Hyunwoo's shirt from the bullet wound, now patched and bandaged. His eyes, however, burned with one question: why? As they entered the study, the smell of gunpowder and scotch lingered in the air. 2 bodies. Chairman Kong slumped in his chair, their mother lying peacefully beside him, told a story that words could never capture. The police worked in silence, respectful of the moment. Then, one of them handed Minjun a worn, leather-bound file found inside a hidden compartment behind a bookshelf. He opened it. Deeds. Contracts. Photographs. News clippings, everything. Every evil deed, every illegal acquisition, every silenced victim. It was all there, documented meticulously, protected for decades by power and fear. Hyunwoo pulled out another envelope tucked beneath the drawer of the desk. His name was written on it, along with Minjun's. He opened it slowly, hands trembling. To my sons, Minjun and Hyunwoo, if you are reading this, then everything has ended as I intended. I am not the woman you thought I was. I was born to a humble family who once owned the land this mansion stands on. Your father murdered them all. My mother, father, and my baby brother. I was just a child when he shot me and left me for dead. I survived. And I made a vow. I became his wife. I raised you both with love, not because of him, but in spite of him. I protected you from his darkness. Your brother, Jae-hyuk, knew the truth. He helped me, even when it cost him everything. He deserves your love, not your judgment. He is innocent of your father's sins. Go to China. The address is enclosed. You'll find him there, and forgive me for all the years I had to act. With all my love. Mother. Minjun clenched the letter, his eyes wet, though not a single tear fell. Hyunwoo stared at the lifeless body of the woman who gave them everything, truth, protection, and in the end, peace. She carried this pain alone for so long, Hyunwoo whispered. We won't waste her sacrifice, Minjun replied. Meanwhile, Chairman Wang, cloaked in a long coat and dark glasses, moved briskly toward the jet waiting on the tarmac. 2 of his men followed closely. But just as he reached the staircase, he was surrounded. Police vehicles swarmed in from every direction. Chairman Wang, an officer barked. You are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, illegal business dealings, and obstruction of justice. You have the right to remain silent. Wang turned in disbelief as Daniel Lee stepped out from behind one of the cars, arms crossed. Going somewhere? He asked coldly. Wang scowled, but the sight of the approaching cuffs made him raise his hands in surrender. Chairman Wang's hands were cuffed tightly behind his back, his face contorted with fury and disbelief. Daniel Lee stepped forward, his polished shoes crunching against the tarmac, stopping just inches from him. He leaned in, his voice low and venomous. Chairman Kong is dead, he said, his words like ice. And soon you will be too. The only difference? He died quickly. You'll suffer first. Wang's composure cracked for the first time, a flicker of fear flashing in his eyes. Daniel straightened, gaze unwavering. Your empire ends here. Wang was dragged away by the police as Daniel stood silently, watching the man who once wielded power now reduced to shackles. He was sentenced to life. 2 years later, in the cold corridors of a maximum security prison, Chairman Wang was found dead, stabbed by an inmate with nothing to lose and a grudge to settle. The man who had ordered countless silent deaths died, just as quietly. Forgotten. Alone. Justice, in its own brutal way, had found him. The sunlight bathed the luxurious cliffside villa in a warm, golden glow. Waves crashed gently against the rocks below as the wind carried laughter and joy across the lush gardens. Minjun sat under a wide parasol, his arm gently wrapped around Julia, who was visibly pregnant and glowing with peace. Their son Nathan, now 11, ran across the yard with Hyunwoo's 2 kids, shrieking in playful delight. Hyunwoo watched them from the poolside, his shirt unbuttoned, towel draped around his neck. His wife, Rachel, rested beside him on a lounge chair, sunglasses on, a drink in hand. She nudged him and said with a soft smile, "You've gotten soft." Hyunwoo grinned. "Or finally happy." Nearby, Daniel Lee popped open a champagne bottle with a playful smirk, causing Jaiwoo, now his fiancée, to yelp and duck behind him. "Still dramatic, aren't you?" she teased, bumping his shoulder. "I'm a reformed man," Daniel replied, holding up the ring on her finger proudly. "You made me that way." Under the shade of a cherry blossom tree, Jae-hyuk strolled hand in hand with his wife, who carried a book and smiled at the chaos. Life had been quiet for them in China until Minjun convinced them all to reunite for this moment. Minjun looked around, the sea, the sun, the laughter, the people. This was peace. Julia leaned her head on his shoulder. "What are you thinking about?" He kissed her forehead softly. "Just how beautiful it is to finally have nothing to hide. To finally have everything we lost, and more." She smiled. "Well, you better keep it together. Baby number 2 arrives next month." Nathan ran up and hugged his father's side, laughing. "Daddy," Uncle Hyunwoo said, "I can try the jet ski today." Minjun gave him a thumbs up. "As long as you wear your life vest." Hyunwoo shouted from the pool. "I've got him. Don't worry." Everyone laughed. The camera of time pulled back. A wide shot of the villa, the family, and the sea beyond. No more ashes, no more bloodlines, only love and legacy. Thanks for watching Lost Memories, Unfinished Love. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. Stay tuned for our next story, and I'll see you in the next video.